Okay. Hi friends, this is Carmen. Welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. My channel is all about succulents and cacti in my balcony garden and houseplants. Lots of houseplants today, lots of Hoyas that I'm going to be sharing with you. And if that's something that interests you and you want to learn some more about and go on some field trip shop with me videos, then hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. And if you really like this particular one, I'd appreciate you giving it a like and giving it a thumbs up, okay? Today I'm going to be sharing with you my Hoya collection. And I did not realize that I was just counting them before we started, 15 of them. Yeah, I didn't realize that I had accumulated that much in the last year. Maybe a little bit more than a year is the only time frame that I've been collecting them. I have been blessed with many wonderful subscribers that have sent me cuttings of Hoyas that I've started rooting and to expand my collection, and they're doing wonderful. And then I've managed to find some here locally also that I purchased. So enough of my jabbering, let me get to it because we got a lot to get through. Let's get to it. Okay, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. Typically I always start from the smallest to biggest, so let's do that. So this little guy is my Hoya Linearis. This was sent to me by a subscriber, Yuko. She sent me a few of these, so I hope I can remember which ones. I know this one was from her. It's a very slow grower for me, and it's just been these two little vines here. One of them has been giving off new growth. And it's here in my plant room. I have it on the second shelf there where it gets just enough light. And I've just kind of leave it alone and water it when it's dry. It's in a very chunky mix. Most of these, I believe I've already transferred to either the Hoya Delatanks, not Hoya Delatanks, the Delatanks green stuff, soil, and or one that I've mixed myself, which is very similar. So that's my Hoya Linearis. It's my little one. And then I believe this one is from her also. I just repotted this one yesterday. Doing this video has actually given me a chance to take all of them down that were hanging in my patio door. And give them a good cleaning, give them some, spray them with some neem oil, and top them off with some soil if it looked like they needed a little bit more soil, and check them all for if they needed watering, and a lot of them did. So it actually gave me an opportunity. Some of them I did repot, like this one, that were in plastic pots, and some of them I had two of the same variety, so I put them together, and I'll try and point which one those were. But this is the Hoya, I can never remember how to pronounce this, Burtoniae, and it's actually been given off few little leaves there. This one also came from Yuko, and it's been a slow grower, but I have it in, well, I had it up until I repotted it in my hutch with a grow light out in the living room. Since I repotted it, I'm going to be moving some stuff around. I'll probably put it in the table that's facing the east-facing patio door. So that's the Hoya Burtoniae, I believe it's pronounced. And here, this is another slow grower for me, but I see that it's growing. This was sent to me by Perico Plants last year, maybe a year and a half. And there were 3 stalks of this Hoya Compacta Hindu rope. And one of them did not make it, but the other 2 are hanging in there. And one of them, the bigger one there, you can see it's got a little bit of growth happening here at the end. So that's the first sign I've seen of some growth on it. Otherwise, it looks healthy. I thought at first that this pot may be a little too big for it, for the remaining two, but I'm leaving them alone because I learned my lesson about messing with Hoyas and their roots. And I'll show you when we get to it which Hoya taught me that lesson. But this Hoya Hindu rope is doing well. It's a slow grower, I hear anyway, so I'm not worried about it. And it's also in that table in the east-facing window. Now, this one here is actually a combination of two cuttings, rooted cuttings. One was a rooted cutting, this one wasn't a rooted cutting. I rooted it. This is the Hoya Carnosa, the regular green one. This one was sent to me recently. Oh Lord, I can't remember her name. It was by a subscriber. This one I think Yuko sent to me. And, oh, forgive me. I'll put the name on here when I find it. And maybe it was Chris. I don't want to give the wrong name, but I'll put the name on the screen of the subscriber that sent it to me. But I put these two together in this terracotta pot, regular green Hoya Carnosa, and it's doing well. This cutting that was already rooted that was sent to me is trailing already. Now this one is a more mature plant than this cutting. That's why they look a little bit differently, because this one's older, more mature. This one was still a juvenile. So that's why they look a little bit differently, but they're doing well. And recently I did give all of these, it was about 2 weeks ago now, fertilizer with the liquid dirt. I started to use the liquid dirt on them, and so we'll see how that is going. I didn't see any adverse effects, like I think I mixed it right, so I didn't see anything, you know, happening as far as burnt or anything like that. So I think I mixed it right. But we'll see as far as growth goes. I was using the spray-on orchid fertilizer that you spray on the leaves, and I think I'll continue using that. I don't think it's going to hurt it any. And you know, it had been doing okay for them before. Now this one is one that I purchased not too long ago. This is a Hoya Australis regular green one. And when I purchased it, I thought it may be the Lisa because of that little variegation right there. But the other new leaves that have come in have not shown any variegation at all. So I am convinced that it is just a regular Hoya Australis, not the variegated one, but it's still beautiful as it is. And it looks like it's getting some new growth right there. And the leaves are nice. And these are a little bit, I think, a little thinner than some of the other Hoya leaves. So it's doing well. Now the cousin or sister of that one, it's Sister Lisa. Here's the Hoya Australis Lisa. And this one I did purchase. It's from Plant Stand, but I got it at Home Depot. And I think it was $14.98 with already potted in the white pot. And I do know that they pot their Hoyas when they come in these pots in the Della Tank soil. But it's doing really well. I think I may have lost one leaf that turned, you know, real yellow and flimsy, and I just took it off. But other than that, it's giving off all these little ones right here. Those are new. I've had it 2 months, maybe about 2 months, and it's doing really well. So I'm really loving it. I like the white pot. I'm usually a terracotta gal, but I like the white pot. So that's its sister Lisa. Oh, now here's one that was sent to me. Oh God. I really have a terrible memory. It's combination of when I had chemo and then my fibromyalgia, I get a lot of brain fog and a lot of memory loss. So bear with me. This was sent to me, I believe, I'll put the name up here. This is the Hoya Obovata. And when it came to me, she purchased it from a seller and sent it to me. She was so kind. But it wasn't completely rooted. It had roots, but I had to finish rooting it in some sphagnum moss. And then when it was rooted enough to transfer to soil, I transferred it to soil. But the Hoya Obovata was on my wish list. So that was a check mark for me for my wish list. Isn't it beautiful? And I don't know, I haven't really seen any new growth, but all of the leaves are still doing great. This one is in my corner hutch in the living room under a grow light, and it's doing really well. So I love it. And I love the little bluebird pottery on it. Rosie, I can hear you. What's the matter? Bored? Do you want out? You want out? Okay, see you later. I can hear you. Okay, let's move on to the queen. This is the Hoya Crimson Queen. And I'll be honest with you, I don't remember where I got this. I honestly don't. I don't remember if I purchased this or if somebody sent it to me. But it's been growing. When I did get it, it was compact. And it's been about a year since I've had this one. And it's growing this vine and growing this out. So these are all new leaves. And these two right here are new leaves, and then it's getting a little one right there. But the queen herself is doing really well. It's in this little terracotta pot. I think I got this like at the 99-cent store or something like that. And this didn't have a hole in it. I drilled a hole in it myself. But that one is just doing beautiful. Now her daughter, the princess, this one I have hanging in my window, and I actually, because it has this one long trail, I have it when it's on the macrame, going up the macrame. Now this one I got, the main one here, because there's two in here, I got from Plant Stand of Arizona about 8 months ago. I lost a few strands, and then I had this one right here that Yuko had sent to me, so I popped it in there. That's why it looks a little bit differently. This one's a little more mature than this one. But it's starting to fill in and it's starting to trail. I do have this one trail over here that really doesn't have any variegation on it. It is hanging in the east-facing window. And this here was wrinkly for a while, and I couldn't figure out why it was wrinkly. Well, I wasn't giving it enough water, because I would water it while it was hanging up there, and I tried to tip the can, the watering can in there, and I wasn't really getting the water that it needed. So since I brought it down and cleaned it up and gave it a good watering thorough, I can tell that it's already perked up. It's not as wrinkly, and the leaves feel thicker. So that is the Hoya Crimson Princess. And I'm sure a lot of you know, but if you don't, the way to tell the queen and the princess apart is the princess has the variegation inside with the green on the edge, and the queen has the variegation on the outside with the green inside. The way I remember it is that the queen wears her crown, and so that is the variegation on the outside, where the princess doesn't have a crown around her, but the queen does. So that's how I remember it. How someone told me. Now this one is also a combination one that, excuse me, that I put together. One I got from Plant Stand of Arizona, and that's the one that's growing these vines. Look how it's twirled around itself, and when it is on the macrame, it twirls around the macrame. And then over here on this side is a cutting that was sent to me that I rooted. I think it's from Eucalyptus also. So it had been in a little plastic pot for a long time, and I finally decided to put it together. When I took it out to repot into this one, it had a really good root system. So I'm hoping that it will do well. I really was very, very gentle with the roots. I didn't really disturb them much at all. And I just took out some soil on the side and just popped it in there. But this Hoya Pubicalyx, did I tell you what the name of it was? No. This Hoya Pubicalyx, I'm not sure if it's a splash because it doesn't look all that splashy to me. But I do know it's a Hoya Pubicalyx. And it's given off lots of new leaves there. What it tends to do, it tends to send the trails out first and then the leaves come in. So it will have a bare trail going, and then after a while the leaves will come in. But this one is a real fast grower. Leaves are big, so it collects a lot of dust, and that's one thing I noticed with these that have the little bit bigger leaves. They were dusty, so that was a good opportunity to get them cleaned. Now here's another one that I got from the plant stand last year, and when I repotted it into some good soil, I actually repotted a portion of it into a smaller pot, and I never gave it away. And so I decided to put it back with its mother plant. So I think it's this portion right here that I put back. But this one's doing really well. It's finally starting to grow out and send some trails out. But for the 7-8 months that I've had it, it's been just kind of hanging out. So it's the Hoya lacunosa. And I don't know if it's just that it is a slow grower or not. It is in my east-facing window. I do have it in a hanging macrame. Kind of encourage it to grow and trail. So we'll see if that psychology works. Okay, here's one that is trailing. And this one I got local nursery called Whitfield Nursery, and this is the Hoya Krinkle 8. And it is so cool the way that the leaves have those little divots, little 8 divots on the leaves, hence the name. And it has this one vine here and over here, and this one too, that's starting to grow out. This is a new leaf here. So I did repot this one into some new soil, and it's doing really, really well. I've had it only about 4 months, and yeah, it's doing great. I just kind of happened upon it. I, wasn't really looking for it, and there it was at the local nursery. It was $29.95, I believe it was. So it's beautiful. Now, this one here was sent to me by a subscriber, Chris, and this was a wish list plant for me. This is the Hoya Whitehead, and this came off of a plant that she has. So it was a rooted portion that she separated. It has there the little dangling vine that's already growing. It's doing great. I lost a few leaves on it that kind of shriveled up and died, hence being mailed across the country and, being repotted and everything. But otherwise, all the leaves feel nice and hard and waxy like they should. I love the margin, color of the margin around the leaves. I do have this hanging in a macrame in my east-facing window, so the Hoya Whitehead is doing great. Thanks, Chris. Now let me show you one. I think I'm getting them all. That is not doing so great, and I'm going to ask your advice on it. This is the Hoya Curtisii, and I purchased this. I'll show you a picture. I think I have a picture of when I got it from Emily's Succulent Greenhouse. She's in Florida, and it came beautifully. But for some reason, it's not looking so beautiful right now, and I'm not sure what it is that I'm doing wrong. If it's not watering enough, because the leaves were looking shriveled, and not as perky or as plump as when it came to me. I have it in a very free draining soil. I check it with a moisture meter and water it. I was watering it when it was dry, so now I'm watering it when the top portion is dry. I have heard that the Hoya Curtisii is a little bit fussier than the other Hoyas. It's not dying. It has still all the vines that it came with. It just doesn't look as happy, as happy as it did when it first arrived. So I'm not sure. Friends, if you have this Hoya Curtisii, let me know how you take care of it, because I don't want to overwater it. I want to give it enough water. I did give it some of the liquid dirt fertilizer in a watering a couple of weeks ago, so maybe that will help it. I don't know, but we'll see. I have it here in the plant room in the east facing window right there. It does not get direct light. It gets very bright in direct light. Now the last one, the one that taught me the lesson of not to mess with Hoya roots. You may remember the Hoya Cumingiana that I did a video on, that I purchased it at Plant Stand of Arizona. It was nice and big and it was trailing out, but I had this brainstorm idea of putting it on a trellis because I had seen pictures of it on a trellis. So I made the little trellis and I took it out of a pot and I took all the soil off of it and put it in the Delatank soil. Well, little by little, strand by strand, it started to die. And it ended up being one strand, this one right here. Just one strand left. So what I did was I cut the top, because it was a good length, I cut the top into two, rooted those, put them back in, and that's this one and this one. And since I've repotted it, no, it's this one and this one. Since I've repotted it, it has grown this one from the base. So, lesson learned, and many of you told me that, not to mess with Hoya's roots. They don't like their roots being messed with. And I was a little too rough on getting the old soil off of it and putting it in new soil, and it let me know that. But it is a very good Hoya, this Hoya Cumingiana, to propagate, easy to cut and root in water, and put back in here. And look now, it's growing and trailing out, it's getting new leaves. It's doing marvelous. I do have it finally moved, graduated, and moved out to the living room to be in a macrame with the other big plants. So I'm really, really proud of this Hoya that, you know, was on the brink of death and came back. So, you know, they can be saved, definitely. Let me make sure I got everything. Yes, so that was 15 of them. Oh, I think my other camera just shut off. So there you have it, friends. I think I am officially a Hoya head. I thank so much my subscribers for converting me to that. Yuko and Chris, thank you so much for sending me those Hoyas. And Vicky in New York. Thank you. I am so happy with them. And if it wasn't for you guys, I really wouldn't have had this substantial Hoya collection. So I appreciate that very much. And I think this is probably the biggest collection. I know it's more than my Aglanemas, so it's probably my biggest one. So there's such a variety that you can choose from, and such a variety that are easily obtainable. You know, I know that I'm not going to be out purchasing very expensive Hoyas. Probably $40 is the most that I will spend on a Hoya. But there's such a variety within that budget that I can easily grow my collection even more. And I have more room now that I've combined some of them. So there you go. Thanks so much, friends. I appreciate your coming along with me today and hanging out with me as I share my Hoya collection with you. And if you enjoyed this video, friends, please do give it a thumbs up. I will see you in the next video. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye now.